Hi friends, so welcome back to my channel. In today's session, we would be looking at what is Geo Replication in Azure, like Microsoft Azure SQL Server, right? So as usual, the agenda would be understanding about active Geo Replication and then a practical demo. So first of all, let us understand what is active Geo Replication. Active Geo Replication is a feature that lets you create a continuously synchronized readable secondary database for a primary database. The readable secondary database may be in the same Azure region as the primary or more commonly in a different region. So this kind of readable secondary database is also known as a geosecondary or georeplica. So in very simple terms, it's basically used for creating a readable secondary. So it is as good as always on technology in on premises. So we have so many technologies such that like log replication is there, always on is there, and so on. So basically, this is the same type of technology used in Azure. Okay. Active Geo replication actually leverages the always on availability group technology to asynchronously replicate transaction log generated on the primary replica to the secondary geo replicas, right? So basically, whenever the DML operations happens or any changes happens on the primary database, it asynchronously replicate the same to the secondary replicas. Well, at any given point, secondary database might be slightly behind the primary database. The data on a secondary is guaranteed to be transactionally consistent. Okay. So, as and when you keep working on a primary database, the same thing actually gets replicated asynchronously onto the secondary database. The only purpose for generating this is geo replication is for this. So, in other words, changes made by uncommitted transaction not with. Sometimes it may happens that due to a little lag, the uncommitted transactions are not. How does active geo-replication work? So active geo-replication replicate changes by streaming database transaction log from the primary replica to the secondary replica, right? Now it is not as I told you about the replication, but it is really not like a replication wherein in replication actually the DML all insert update delete statements or the commands are again executed on the subscriber with the valid or the required information. So why this active geo replication is needed? Active geo replication is designed, as a business continuity solution that let you perform quick disaster recovery of individual databases in case of a regional disaster or a large scale outage, right? So as I already told you that basically this is the same technology used for the business continuity and disaster recovery methods or disaster recovery mechanism. So whenever the primary server or the primary database goes off, application should not break and user should be able to log in and user should be able to continue their work. So for that, this active geo application is being used. So once geo application is set up, you can initiate a geo failover to a geo secondary in a different Azure regions. Okay. Now, as a best practice, it is always good that you create your Azure replicas in a different regions so that even catastrophic failures can be managed. And whenever catastrophic failures are there on a particular region, you can shift your database or you can fail over and shift your application to the secondary region or the secondary database replica, which is already in sync with the primary. Okay. Right now, currently Azure, you can create only 4 replicas with Azure Active Geo Replication, not more than that, right? So one is the primary database, and then apart from that, you can have 4 more read-only replicas. Okay, so in total, you can have the 5 in syncing database at a time. Okay, not more than that. So guys, please watch this video until the end because then I'm going to show you the tips and tricks to create more than 4 or more than 5 replicas, right? Though there is a limit of 4 only, but you can always. So let's move ahead now. Yeah. So there are some advantages. I think most of them we have already talked, that automatic asynchronous replication at the database level, where data changes to the primary database are automatically replicated to a secondary database. Cross-region redundancy, allowing application to recover from loss of an entire region. So we have already talked about this. Readable and online secondary database that can be used for read-only workloads such as reporting. And secondary database will be created in different region. As a best practice, we should always create this into the different regions. Okay. Now there are how you can set up active geo replication. Of course, I'm going to show you, in detail in practical demo, that how you can create replication to different sources. Below are some sources, like you can create replication and manage replication through Azure Portal with the help of PowerShell for both single database and Elastic Pool, with Transact SQL, with again with single database and Elastic Pool, and then with the REST API. So these are several methods through which you can initiate and manage the geo replication and geo failover. Okay. Now, these are certain DMVs associated with geo replication, which are used to know the status of the replication and status of the replication links and so on. So I would show you some of them once we, set up a replication. So in today's demo, this was very brief about, geo replication. In today's demo, I'm going to show you how to set up the geo replication, with multiple replicas, how to do a failover, and I'm going to show you how sync happens, right? And then I would also show you that how to remove the node or the replica from the replica set, right? And in last, then also, we will see some tips and tricks to add more than four replicas. Okay. So yeah, let us action something, and let me show you how to create replicas and everything. Okay, right. Okay. So very first of all, this is my Azure portal, and you can see I have already created, certain SQL server for you. Okay, for this demo, that is, this is my primary server, and then secondary servers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and one database onto this primary server. Okay, so this I have already created, and on my Azure Data Studio, I have already connected with them. Again, you can see here primary server, server 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we would, keep playing during this demo. We would keep playing with this servers. Okay. So now, as I told you, there are different ways to, configure and set up the Azure Geo replication. So I would show you two ways of doing this currently in this video. So first is from the Azure portal. So whenever you want to create a Geo replica from an Azure portal, just go to your primary database. So here you can see JIT cells is my primary database on my primary server. Okay. And you can, on the left hand side menu, you can see replicas here. Click on replicas. And currently you can see there is no replica. Uh, Click on create replica, and for the primary details it will be automatically fetch, and for secondary details also, secondary replica also, database name should be same. You just have to select the server name. So here I'm selecting secondary server 1. That's it. And the compute and storage, generally it would take the compute and storage of the primary database. And as a good practice also, you should always have the compute storage as primary only, because it is very beneficial when failure happens or during the syncing process, right? If your compute storage for secondary is on the lower side than primary, then and if large amount of, basically transactions are happening on the primary server, then it would not be able to cope up with those load, because you have a, very low compute storage on the secondary, right? So it is as a good practice, always have the compute storage same as primary server. And that's where, this take from the primary server whenever you configure the geo replica, right? uh, Next, review and create, and then just press on the create. It will take some time. I will be back once this is done. Okay, so now deployment is completed. You can see here. Let us go to resources on the JIT cell database, and when you click again on the replicas, you can see here now this my first replica is being generated. So now here JIT cells for JIT primary server is my primary database, and JIT cells on JIT secondary server is my secondary database. So you can see here, replication status is readable. So this is one way creating, the replica from the Azure portal. Let me show you another way of doing it from my Transact SQL server with the help of TSQL. So for TSQL also it is very, very simple. Just you will have to write in one alter database statement here, and you will have to provide a secondary server name. So we already have one. So two we would be doing from here. So the statement is very simple. Alter database JIT cells, add secondary on server, secondary server to the name of the server with allow connection is equal to all. So let me execute this, and mind well, this you need to run from the primary database, and that too on from the primary server, and that too from the master database. Okay. So let me run this, and then let us do this for all the three servers. So two already I have done. Let me do this for three, and then immediately for four. So now we have added, four replicas already. Okay. So let us go to the portal and see what is the status. Refresh it. Yes. So all the four are being added, but you can see still the seeding process is going on, right? So until this seeding process doesn't complete and it doesn't come, the replica state doesn't come to the readable, it would not allow us to read the data from this server. So let us wait for this seeding process to complete. Okay, so seeding process is completed, and now each and every replica is in readable mode, readable state, right? So this way you can create, you can set up a geo replica. So now for our primary server JIT database, we have four different, geo replicas. So first of all, let us see two major DMVs. Let me go back and let me run those DMVs for you. One, we need to run from master level. So as select star from sys.geo replication links. When I execute this, it will show you the link status, right, of the secondary replica. And you can see here our partner server are 1, 2, 3, 4 databases JIT cells. If there are more than one database, then it would show you all the database. Then this is a replication status, currently a replication status description. It is in catch up mode, right, and so on. And second, we need to check from the database level. It also provide more or less same information. Again, here the partner server and database and everything. The only thing is here, currently we don't have any lag, but the extra information we showing is as a replication lag in seconds. So if there is any lag in, replication, then this would be shown here. And secondly, the last commit. When was the last commit happened on this server? Okay. So these are two different DMVs. Currently, we don't have any lag and everything. So it's a simple the data for us. Okay. Now, as I told you that you can only have four secondary replicas. So let me try and create one more replica here. Okay. So again, from the portal, I'm showing you create replica. Everything comes pre preloaded, and let me select the second server 5 because 1, 2, 3, 4 we have already used as a 4 replica. So I'm using 5, right? Everything remains the same for us. Create, and then let us try to create. Okay. It will take little bit time. Let me come back to you once it error out. So you can see here it has tried to actually create a replica for us, and deployment has failed. So let us click on this, and on the error message you can see replication limit reached. The database JIT cells cannot have more than 4 replica relationship, right? So as I told you that you can have only 4 replicas, not more than that. So if you try to add one more replica, then it will not allow. But yes, there is a way, there is a trick which I'm going to show you at the end of this video. Okay, so this was just to show you that you cannot add more than 4 replicas. Okay, now let us go back to Azure Data Studio, and let us try to sync this. So if you can see here, I have already have the query windows for all the servers. So this is my primary server. This is my secondary server 1. This is my secondary server 2, and so on. And we even have secondary server 5, 5th. This would be in picture, or this would be help us in the last part of the video. So let us again go back to first, and we have already created the sales data. So now within sales data, let me create one table. So I'm creating create table sales order, which contains order ID, order date, and order value, and then I'm inserting some records into it. Okay. So this has been completed, and now let us query this table. So, okay, right. So I'm querying this table, and you can see 3 records. Let us query the same thing from replicas. We need to be in JIT cells. Why we can't see JIT cells? Give me a second. Okay, it was having some issue, right? So let me again run this query for you, and you can see on secondary server we have 3 records, and same thing on the third server, again 3 records, and same thing on the fourth server, and that is again 3 records. We need to do a JIT cells here. Right, and this is so fast. Now, it's not that, it only basically synchronize the DML, that is, only the data. It also synchronizes the schema also. So what I'm doing, I'm altering the sales order table, and I'm adding one more column called customer name, and then I'm inserting one record with the help with customer name as populated, right? So let me execute this, and let me insert this record. And now if you can see here, we have one more record with customer name filled in as customer X. And let us see how, see on the secondary server also customer X. On the third server also you can see immediately customer X. On the fourth server also customer X, right? Now let us create one view on the primary server. So I am creating one view on the primary server here. And now let us query the data through view, that is get data. Okay, on the primary server we are seeing all the records. Let us do the same thing on the secondary server. So now you can see, we can see here also, right? So this means what, whatever we do, like, creating database objects, modifying the schema, creating tables, primary keys, foreign keys, everything, whatever you do on the primary server, it is going to replicate immediately onto the secondary replicas, right? Now I'm trying to insert one record from the secondary replica. Let us see what happens. Obviously, it will not allow us, but let us still try it. So fail to update database JIT cell because the database is read only, right? So this was related to the synchronization part. Okay. So now comes like what, how to fail over. So what if you want to fail over the thing, right? Fail over the server. So again, there can be, you can use REST API or the application, or Azure Portal and TSQL. So let me show you how to do this first from Azure Portal. So again, go to your primary servers database. Okay, go to the replicas, and you can see a replica. Whenever you want to fail over, right, you will have to, from Azure Portal, select any of the secondary replica which you want to make as a primary. And then within these 3 dots, you can see there are 2 options. One is stop replication and one is forced failover, right? So as soon as you will click on forced failover, this server will, would switch in. This server will become primary server, and your this JIT primary server will automatically will become a secondary replica, which is in the read only format. Okay, so this is the one way. Second way is to have the with the help of transact SQL. Now, as I told you, from Azure Portal also, we clicked on 3 dots on the secondary server. So from TSQL also, you need to fire this command from the secondary server. So I'm using this secondary server 1 as my failover server, so that this will become a primary server and my JIT primary will become a secondary server. Again, the command is very simple. It's a alter database command. You just have to write alter database and the database name and then failover. So automatically what will happen? This would become a primary and your primary G primary, the existing primary would become a secondary replica. Okay. So let us execute this command from secondary server and you should be in the master database. Okay. Run this. It will take slightly, 15 to 20 seconds. Right, so this is completed and let us see what is the picture on Azure portal. I have not refreshed this, so still my primary shows JIT primary server 1 and server secondary 1, 2, 3, 4 are my secondary replicas. Let me refresh this and within a second you can see here now JIT secondary server has become my primary server and my JIT primary server has become a secondary replica, right? So automatically this has been changed and the switch has happened. Again, this is in readable mode now, primary server. So now if I try to execute anything on a primary server, let us try to insert this record. You should get an error. So now this has become readable, and if I fire the same statement from secondary server now, then we should have this record inserted. We should be in the JIT sales database, run this, one record inserted, and let us query this. And yes, you can see customer X and customer Y. And similarly on my primary server also, you can see this, right? So this is this in this way, you can do a failover. Okay. So this was related to failover. Now, what if you want to remove the server itself from the replica? Okay, so again, all those four methods would help you out. So let us see one by one uh, from all the methods. That is currently we are focusing on two methods. So let me do this first from Azure Portal, and then I would show you the TSQL statement also. So the server 3 I am removing from here. So from Azure Portal, so right click on three dots and then you just click on the stop replication, and it will provide you some notification, safety notification. Once you click on yes, it will actually remove this. So server 3 we have removed from the replica set. Let us wait. Okay, until this is getting removed, let us see how to do this from with the help of TSQL. Okay, so for the TSQL also, again, it is very simple and a simple alter database command. And again, you will have to do the same thing. Okay, and this should be done from the primary server and that too from the master database. So now currently, okay, it will not allow from this JIT primary. We need to do this on the secondary server, which is our current primary, right? If you can see here, JIT secondary server 1 is our current primary. So again, very simple statement: alter database name and then remove secondary on server, and then you will have to name the server name. So I am saying SVR 4. 3 already we have removed from portal, and 4 we are removing from with the help of TSQL. Okay. So execute this command. Okay. We should be in the master database and execute this. Yes. So this is executed. And now let us refresh this on the portal. You can see both the server has been removed. Now the server are not actually deleted. The server and database remains intact as it is. The only thing is they have been removed from these replicas. Okay. Otherwise, server would be as it is on your Azure as a resource. Okay. Right, guys. So this was a small demo about how to set up a replica, how to do a failover, how to how sync process takes place, what are the DMVs related to this, and then how to remove the replicas. Okay. Now the last part which remains is that I need to show you the trick to add one more replica. That is from the limit of 4. If the business requirement is such that you want the fifth replica also. So surely I'm going to show you that. Okay, but before that, let me tidy this. I would again need to add both of this server, and I would come back once I do that. Okay. So now, I have added back my server 3 and 4, and even, I had made JIT primary as my primary server again, right? Now, the last point remains is that how to add more than one server. Sorry, more than four replicas, right? Because ideally, there is a limitation of only four replicas. But what if, the business requirement is such that you want more than four replicas need to be added? Now, the trick is that you will have to add this replica to your secondary. Until now, you were adding replica to your primary, right? But in this case, you will have to add a replica to your secondary. So basically, secondary, the fifth replica would be syncing from my secondary replica, and that secondary replica would be syncing from my JIT primary server, right? So there can be a little bit of lag, but yes, syncing would be happening. Okay, I would show you that. So, for example, the JIT secondary server 5 which we have, I would be actually creating a replica to this JIT secondary server 1, right? So ideally what will happen, JIT secondary server 5 would be syncing from JIT secondary server 1, and JIT secondary server 1 would be syncing from JIT primary server. Okay, now the thing is that Azure has this limitation, so you cannot do this from the Azure portal, right? I have already shown you the error, right? This need to be done with the help of transact SQL statement only. And how do you do that? So, for example, as I told you, this is, you can see here, this is my primary server. You cannot add more than this on the primary server, and this is my secondary server one. Okay, so I'm writing the same command to add uh, this replica as I had shown you earlier. Okay, so I'm just giving here server 5. So again the same thing, alter database, JIT cells, the database name, add secondary on server, JIT secondary server 5. So now my secondary server 5 would get syncing in, right? Okay, so let me add this for you. Okay, it will take some time. Okay, now here there is no way to check whether this has been added or not, right? So we will have to wait for some time, and let us go to my server 5 and check whether we have the JIT cells or not. Still it has not came in. Let us wait for some time. Okay, so let me come back to you once this is available. Okay, so this has now been done, and you can see on my secondary server 5, you can see JIT cells database also, right? Now let us add one more in the record to this, Control C, and let us add replica fifth, okay, on my primary server. So I'm adding this on my primary server. We need to be in JIT cells, adding this got added, and now let us see on all the replicas, right? So this is my replica 1. I think this feature was made, so JIT sales has not been yet activated here. Let us do this from replica 3. Okay, I think this all were added, so so you can see replica 5 here. Okay, then on server 4 also you can see replica 5. Then on server 5, select star. Okay, so okay, here also we need to be in JIT cells. Okay, so yeah, you can see here on my server 4 also I can see cust replica 5, and the magic goes here. Select star. Okay, and let us run this, and on server 5 also you can see cust replica 5. Okay, let us see whether on cust, I don't know why this database is not, yeah, now it has appeared, and if you can see here, you can see cust replica 5. So now basically apart from primary database, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you can see here my cust replica 5 record also appears here also, right? So this way you can actually add more replicas onto your secondary. and more make more readable. Of course, there would be very rare chances to do this, but on some days, in some cases, if you require this, then there is a way to do this. Right, guys? So hope you have enjoyed this video on Geo application. Let me know your views through comments, on the Geo replication if you want to improve something or if you want to add some more on this, right? As usual, don't forget to press a like or a bell button, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Also, a request to share this video with your friends and colleagues. Okay. Uh, Thanks again for watching this video. Meet you next time with next good topic. Till then, bye and take care.